During a family dinner, my sister-in-law slapped my daughter. "You have no manners. I'll teach you some for your mother." I slapped her back twice on the spot. When her family of 4 ganged up on me and told me to get out, I walked out and made one phone call. They were all left stunned. The sharp crack of the slap echoed through the cheerful chaos of our Thanksgiving dinner. It was like a bucket of ice water hitting a deep fryer. My daughter Lily clutched her cheek. Her small 5-year-old body stumbled back 2 steps, knocking over a dining chair. She froze for a second, her eyes instantly welling up, but she bit her lip and refused to cry. The air in the Petersons' living room solidified. "You ungrateful little brat." My sister-in-law Megan stood with her hands still, raised her fingers tipped with bright red nail polish, almost poking Lily in the face. "When adults are talking, you keep your mouth shut. I'll teach you some manners for your mother." A roar filled my ears. The fork in my hand clattered onto my plate. "Megan, what the hell do you think you're doing?" I shot up from my chair, its legs scraping harshly against the hardwood floor. "What am I doing?" Megan turned to face me, her face which bore a slight resemblance to my husband Mark's twisted with malice. "Chloe, look at the wonderful daughter you've raised. Her grandma serves her a piece of turkey, and she actually says she doesn't want the dark meat. After grandma was so thoughtful, she just throws it back in her face." My mother-in-law Carol, sitting at the head of the table, immediately chimed in. "That's right, Lily. Grandma saved the juiciest piece for you." "How could you talk to grandma like that?" Lily, still holding her face, her eyes swimming with tears, whispered her defense. I didn't say I wouldn't eat it. I said, "Thank you, Grandma, but can I please not have the really dark piece? I don't like the dark meat." Listen to that, still talking back. Megan's voice grew shrill. "Mom, you're just too soft on her. So picky at such a young age. What will she be like when she's older? She's just spoiled and needs to be taught a lesson." My husband Mark, sitting next to me, moved his lips as if to speak, but in the end he just leaned over and whispered, "Chloe, just let it go. It's Thanksgiving. Let it go." I turned to stare at him, blood rushing to my head. "Mark, your sister just slapped your daughter and you're telling me to let it go. She's just a kid. She doesn't know any better." "Megan was just trying to help my mother-in-law," said, trying to smooth things over, but her tone held no trace of criticism for Megan. My father-in-law Frank cleared his throat. "Everyone just quiet down and eat." But my eyes were fixed on the red handprint slowly appearing on Lily's face. My daughter inherited my fair, sensitive skin. The 5 fingers were starkly clear, a sight that stung my eyes. I pushed my chair back and walked step by step toward Megan. "What do you want?" Chloe. Megan lifted her chin, her eyes so similar to her brother's, filled with defiance. "I disciplined your child for you and you're not happy about it. Look at how you've spoiled her." Slap. I used every ounce of strength in my body and slapped her across her left cheek. Megan's head whipped to the side, her carefully styled curls covering half her face. The living room fell terrifyingly silent, with only the canned laughter from a sitcom on the TV echoing awkwardly in the background. "You—" Megan clutched her face, staring at me in disbelief. "Slap." I slapped her again, this time on her right cheek. "Symmetrical." "The first slap was for the one you gave Lily," I said, my voice so calm, it surprised even me. "The second is to make you understand that you have no right to ever lay a hand on my daughter," Megan shrieked. "Mark, Dad, Mom, look at her, she hit me." Carol jumped to her feet, her voice trembling with rage as she pointed a finger at my nose. "Chloe, are you insane? How dare you hit my daughter?" Frank slammed his wine glass down on the table. "Unacceptable. This is completely unacceptable." Mark finally stood up and grabbed my arm. "Chloe, what are you doing? Apologize to Megan right now." I wrenched my arm free with so much force that he stumbled back. After 7 years of marriage, it was the first time I had ever looked at him this way, with cold, alien eyes filled with utter disappointment. "Mark, when your daughter was slapped, you sat there like a statue. Now that your sister gets slapped twice, you suddenly know how to move." I could hear my own voice shaking, not from fear, but from the rage boiling in my veins. "How can you compare the two?" Mark's face was ashen. "Megan is Lily's aunt. What's wrong with her correcting her? But you actually hit her. Have you no respect?" "Respect?" I laughed, a bitter laugh that almost brought tears to my eyes. "So, in the Peterson family, the rule is that the sister-in-law can slap her niece whenever she wants, but the mother can't retaliate. Is that it? Is that how you talk to your elders?" My mother-in-law charged forward, shielding the wailing Megan. "Mark, look at the wonderful wife you married. I told you from the beginning she had no class. You can take the girl out of the small town, but you can't take the small town out of the girl." There it was again, that same line. For 7 years. I was the scholarship kid from a small town in Ohio who had fought my way through college and built a career for myself in Chicago. But in this family, that would always be my original sin. Mark was a local with a Chicago pedigree and 2 old properties his parents owned. That was the foundation of their eternal superiority. "Mom, you're one to talk," I said, picking up Lily, who finally burst into tears, burying her small face in my neck. "Whether I have class or not isn't for a child beater to judge." "Get out," Megan screamed, losing all composure. "Get out of my house. This is the Peterson family home, not a place for you to run wild." My mother-in-law immediately echoed her. "Yes, get out, hitting someone on Thanksgiving. Our family doesn't want a daughter-in-law like you." My father-in-law sat with a grim face, not saying a word, which was his form of consent. Mark looked at me, his lips moving, but he finally turned away. "Chloe, just take Lily and go home for now. Let everyone cool down." In that instant, I clearly heard something inside me shatter. I nodded, unnaturally calm. "Fine." I held Lily and turned towards the door. I didn't grab my purse, my coat, or even change out of my house slippers. "Mommy," Lily sobbed, "where are we going?" "To where we belong," I whispered, kissing her reddened cheek. I pushed open the heavy front door of the brownstone. The cold November wind of a Chicago night rushed in. The motion sensor light in the hallway flickered on. I stood in the chilly stairwell wearing only a thin sweater and heard the door slam shut behind me. And then the distinct click of the deadbolt. Truly ruthless, Mark. I pulled out my phone. My fingers were numb from the cold, but my movements were steady as I dialed. The first call was to my best friend, Zoe. The phone rang 3 times and she picked up. "Zoe, it's me. I need you to grab a few people and 2 big SUVs and meet me at the entrance to my in-laws' neighborhood." Zoe was silent for a second. "What's going on? Aren't you at Thanksgiving dinner? We got into a fight." Megan slapped Lily. I slapped her back twice. "Now I've been kicked out." I said it calmly, but Zoe immediately exploded. "That bitch, I'm on my way. Give me 20 minutes. No, 15. The second call was to a lawyer I knew. "Mr. Evans, my apologies for calling on Thanksgiving. I'd like to consult about divorce custody and how to document domestic violence. My sister-in-law hit my daughter. I have an audio recording. I started it the moment she laid a hand on her." After hanging up, I sat with Lily on the cold marble steps of the stoop, wrapping her in my arms. "Mommy, I'm cold," Lily whispered. "Just a little longer, sweetie," I kissed her forehead. "Mommy's taking you home." Lily looked up, confused. "Isn't Grandma's house home? That's not our home," I said, gently patting her back. "Mommy is taking you to our own home." 10 minutes later, my phone vibrated. A text from Zoe. "Here. 2 SUVs. 4 of us. Is that enough backup?" I picked Lily up and walked down the steps. The moment I pushed open the main door of the building, the wind howled, but my back was ramrod straight. At the street corner, 2 white SUVs were parked with their hazard lights on. Zoe and 3 of our friends stood by the cars. Seeing me in slippers holding my child, Zoe's eyes instantly turned red. "Son of a bitch, that Peterson family," she cursed, rushing over and wrapping her own down coat around me and Lily. "Get in the car, warm up." The car's heater was blasting. I finally realized I was shivering. "What's the plan?" Zoe asked from the driver's seat, her eyes looking murderous. "First, we go to a hotel to get Lily settled," I said. "Then you guys are coming back with me to the Petersons to get my things. Not just move them. Everything I ever bought for that house, I'm taking it. Down to the last spoon." Zoe grinned a smile that was both fierce and bright. "That's the spirit. I was waiting for you to say that." Zoe had already booked a hotel. She knew me, too well knew this day would come sooner or later. After getting Lily settled and tucked into bed, I kissed my daughter's forehead. "Mommy has to go out for a little bit. I'll be back very soon. The nice lady from the front desk will sit with you, okay?" Lily was so sleepy she could barely open her eyes, her small hand clutching my finger. "Mommy, no fighting." "No fighting," I said softly. "Mommy is just going to get our things back." As I closed the hotel room door, the gentle expression on my face vanished. Zoe handed me a can of pepper spray and a collapsible baton. "A bit much," I said, but I took them. Another friend, a paralegal, had her phone ready to record. The third was a personal trainer purely for intimidation. It was 1230 a.m. just after midnight on Black Friday. We returned to the Petersons' neighborhood. The doorman in their building recognized me and looked stunned at our entourage. I offered no explanation, just swiped my key fob to get into the building. Standing before that familiar door, I took a deep breath and rang the doorbell. Once, twice, 3 times. Finally, Megan's annoyed voice came from inside. Who is it in the middle of the night? It's me, Chloe. There was a moment of silence then, some shuffling sounds. The door opened a crack, and Megan's face covered in a sheet mask peeked out. When she saw the 4 women standing behind me, she was visibly startled. What do you want? Causing a scene with a gang in the middle of the night. I'm here for my things. I pushed the door open and walked in Zoe and the others close behind. The 4 Petersons were all in the living room. Mark, Carol, Frank, and Megan. A tray of cookies and snacks sat on the coffee table. The TV was replaying a football game. It was a picture of domestic bliss, as if the conflict from hours ago had never happened. Seeing me with my crew, Carol was the first to jump up. Chloe, you dare to come back. And you brought people. What do you think you're doing? Nothing much. I pulled a folded copy of a spreadsheet from my purse and slapped it on the coffee table. I'm taking back the things I bought. The list is right here. We'll check it off item by item. When we're done, we'll leave. Mark stood up, his face grim. Chloe, don't take this too far. It's the holidays. Can't we talk about this tomorrow? No, I said, looking him in the eye, discovering for the first time that this face I had loved for 7 years was now so utterly foreign. Mark, from the moment you told your beaten daughter and her attacker to both cool down, there was no tomorrow for us. What does that mean, divorce? I said. The words caused a sharp pain in my chest, but my voice was steady. But first, I want my things back, Carol shrieked. What do you mean your things? Everything in this house belongs to my son. You came from a small town with nothing. How could you afford any of this on your salary? I laughed. I picked up the list. 2019, the 6.5-inch LG OLED TV I bought. Here's the receipt. 2020, the Viking refrigerator and Bosch washer, dryer I replaced. 2021, the Peloton bike I bought for Lily's playroom. 2022, the restoration hardware sofa and coffee table I added. 2023. I read down the list, and with each item, the faces of the Peterson family grew darker. These were all purchased with my post-nuptial income, which legally is marital property. But tonight, I'm only taking the items I paid for myself. I looked at Mark. Or, we can go the legal route and divide this condo. I seem to recall it's in your parents' name, but the $50,000 renovation was paid for by me. Frank finally spoke, his voice gravelly. Chloe, you shouldn't burn your bridges. Burn my bridges. I repeated the phrase, then nodded. Things are already burned. So will you let me take my things peacefully? Or should I call the police right now and report Megan for assaulting a minor? We can sort it out down at the station. Megan's face turned pale. What are you talking about? I was just disciplining her. I have the recording, I said, holding up my phone. From the moment you called her an ungrateful brat to the sound of the slap, it's all crystal clear. Want to hear it? The living room was dead silent. Zoe's friend, the trainer, was already starting to unmount the TV. The other 2 were recording and checking the list. Mark grabbed my wrist, his eyes red. Chloe, we've been married for 7 years. Do you have to be so cruel? I pried his fingers off one by one. Mark, a relationship is a 2-way street. When your sister hit your daughter, our relationship was over. Now I looked at the 4 faces before me, furious, shocked, panicked, and said slowly, please step aside. Don't obstruct me from moving my property. And from this day forward, Lily and I have nothing to do with the Peterson family. This drama ends now. TV LG OLED purchased November 3, 2019 from Best Buy. Invoice number. Price $2,899. Paid with my Chase Sapphire card. Zoe read from the list in a loud, clear voice as Will the trainer deftly lifted the television off its wall mount. My mother-in-law, Carol, shrieked and lunged forward. What are you doing? This is my house. This is robbery. Robbery. I stepped in front of her, pulling another document from my bag. This is a bank statement showing the wire transfer of $50,000 from my account to your son Mark's. The memo line reads, condo renovation. Do you need me to call 911 and have an officer determine if this is a home invasion or a reclamation of personal assets? Carol was speechless, her well-maintained face turning a shade of purple. Mark stood off to the side like a wooden post. For 7 years, every time there was a conflict in this family, this was his response. No opinion, no taking sides, just waiting for me to back down for the problem to resolve itself. But not this time. Mark, say something, Carol shoved her son. Mark's lips moved, his gaze complicated as he looked at me. Chloe, let's talk. Talk about what I cut him off. Talk about whether your sister was right to hit Lily. Talk about whether I should have retaliated. Or talk about how I should just swallow my anger, pretend nothing happened, and continue being the outsider in this house. Chloe, that's not fair. Megan, who had been hiding on the sofa, suddenly spoke. Up. She'd removed the face mask, but the red marks from my slaps were still visible. Yet she managed to squeeze out a victimized expression. It was wrong of me to hit Lily, but I did it for her own good. But look at you now, bringing a gang to move things out on a holiday. That's what you call no class. What kind of example are you setting for the child? I turned and walked toward her. Megan instinctively shrank back. Megan, I leaned in, staring into her eyes. I'm giving you two choices. 1, shut your mouth right now and watch me move my things. 2, I call the police and report you for felony child abuse. We can finish our statements at the precinct and then I'll come back and continue moving my things. Your choice. You're bluffing. Megan's voice was shaky. I'm her aunt. I was just correcting her. Legally, you are a third-degree relative, with no guardianship rights and certainly no right to assault a child. I straightened up and spoke to my friend, recording on her phone. Jen, get a clear shot of this, especially the part where Miss Peterson admits to striking a child. Jen immediately pointed the camera at Megan. Megan's face went white. She finally completely shut up. Keep moving, I said. The list was long. Over 7 years of marriage, I had furnished most of this home. My salary was good. As a marketing director, I cleared over $200,000 a year after taxes. Mark worked a stable job for the city, but his income was half of mine. When we got married, his family provided the use of this paid-off condo. The renovation and all the furnishings were on me. I thought it was our home. It wasn't until a hand landed on my daughter's face today that I understood. In the eyes of the Petersons, I was and always would be an outsider, the small-town girl who had married up. Peloton bike plus purchased August 2021, price $2,495. Paid with my Amex card installment plan. When Zoe read this item, my mother-in-law couldn't hold back again. You can't take the bike, that's for Lily's exercise. Lily is coming with me, I said calmly. I'll buy her a new one. Carol pointed at me, her finger trembling. Mark, are you just going to stand there and watch her act like this? Mark finally moved. He came over trying to pull me aside. Chloe, can we talk privately? Just for 5 minutes. There's no need. I shook him off. Mark, from the moment you stood by and did nothing, while Lily was hit, we had nothing left to talk about. Now I need your entire family to cooperate and not waste my time. As soon as we're done moving, we will leave and never set foot in this place again. My father-in-law, Frank, sat on the sofa with a grim expression, silent until now. He finally spoke, his voice hoarse. Chloe, leave some room for civility. You never know when you'll meet again. Lily is, after all, our granddaughter. When she was being hit, did you remember she was your granddaughter? I shot back. Frank was silenced. One by one, the items were moved out of the living room. The TV, the refrigerator, the washer, the Roomba, the Nespresso machine, the microwave. The back of the 2 SUVs filled up quickly. Zoe called for a U-Haul van. The Petersons just stood and watched. Mark's face was ashen. Carol was dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Whether for the loss of the items or her pride, I couldn't tell. Megan had locked herself in her room. Frank was chain-smoking. When Will started to disassemble the desk and bookshelves I had bought for the study, Mark finally snapped. Enough. He slammed his hand down on the bookshelf. Chloe, do you have to be so absolute? This was our home for 7 years. Don't you have any memories here? I looked into his eyes. There was pain, regret, and anger, but not a single shred of remorse for his daughter being hit. Oh, I have memories, I said softly. Countless memories of me cooking while you all ate. Me washing dishes while you all watched TV. Memories of you telling me to be the bigger person every time we argued. Memories of Megan making snide remarks about my background while you pretended to be deaf. And the memory of today when your sister hit your daughter and you said, "Let it go." I paused. Every single one of those memories. I don't want them anymore. Mark's hand fell from the bookshelf. The last trip was for my clothes, cosmetics, and Lily's toys and books. My clothes filled 2 large suitcases and 3 storage bins. Lily's teddy bear had been left behind on a corner of the sofa. I walked over to pick it up. Suddenly, Carol rushed over and snatched the bear from my hand. This is the one I bought for Lily. She clutched the bear tightly as if it were some great prize. I glanced at the bear. It was washed pale, one of its ears coming unstitched. Lily had hugged it from age 2 to 5. Fine, keep it, I said. Lily will have new ones. Carol was stunned, probably not expecting me to concede so easily. I pulled the last suitcase to the doorway and turned around. The four Petersons stood in the living room, a half-empty, desolate space behind them. The TV wall showed only a faded outline. The spot where the Peloton had been was starkly vacant like a missing tooth. Oh, by the way, I took a set of keys from my bag, removed the keys to the front door and the condo, and placed them on the entryway table. Here are your keys. As for my set, I looked at Mark. I hope you'll have them couriered to me soon. Or just change the locks. Otherwise, I can't guarantee I won't come back next time with the police. With that, I opened the door. Chloe. Mark called out from behind me. I didn't turn back. The hallway light flickered on. I pulled my suitcase into the elevator. The metal doors slowly closed, and the last thing I saw was Mark's face at the doorway, his mouth open as if to say something more. The elevator descended. I leaned against the cold metal wall, my body feeling weak. My hands were shaking. All the composure, the strength, the methodical planning of the last hour now receded like a tide, revealing the cold, trembling truth underneath. I was getting a divorce. No, not yet. But it was the same thing. The elevator doors opened. A blast of cold air hit me. I took a deep breath, straightened my back, and walked out, pulling my suitcase behind me. Zoe and the others were waiting by the U-Haul at the curb. Is that everything? Zoe asked. Everything. I opened the car door. Let's go! The car pulled away from the curb, away from the neighborhood I had lived in for 7 years. In the rearview mirror, that familiar window grew smaller and smaller, finally disappearing into the night. Where to next? Zoe asked. The hotel. To be with Lily, I said, closing my eyes. Tomorrow I'll find an apartment. And see the lawyer. Are you sure you want to do this? Zoe glanced at me in the rearview mirror. I'm sure I opened my eyes watching the streetlights fly past the window. Zoe, you know when Megan hit Lily, only one thought went through my head. If I don't hit her back today, I will despise myself for the rest of my life. Good for you, Will said from the driver's seat. If it were me, I'd have swollen her face up so bad her own mother wouldn't recognize her. Jen turned around from the passenger seat. Chloe, I've backed up the audio recording and the video is crystal clear. I already contacted Mr. Evans. He can see you tomorrow morning. Thank you, I said. My nose tingled, but I didn't cry. I couldn't. Not now. Back at the hotel, Lily was fast asleep, clutching a new stuffed bunny Zoe had bought for her. I took a hot shower, and as the water streamed over my body, the tears finally came mixing with the water, silent and unseen. At 3 a.m., I sat by the hotel window, watching the occasional car pass by outside. My phone screen was lit up with my chat with Mr. Evans. He had sent a few voice messages. Miss Collins, from your description and the audio clip, the case for domestic abuse is clear. As the child's mother and primary guardian, your sister-in-law's actions constitute an unlawful assault on a minor. Regarding asset division, the $50,000 renovation payment can be claimed as your contribution to the property's value. The other assets with clear purchase records are divisible. For custody, you have a stable job and income, have been the primary caregiver, and the opposing family has a history of violence. Your chances of gaining full custody are very high. I recommend you move out of the shared residence as soon as possible to avoid further conflict, and continue to gather all evidence medical records if the child was examined, purchase receipts, recordings, and any relevant text messages. I listened to each message, then typed a reply. Understood. Thank you, Mr. Evans. I'll see you at your office at 10 a.m. tomorrow. After sending it, I opened my chat with Mark. The last message was from yesterday afternoon. He had asked what time I'd be home, that his mom was making soup. I had replied. Before 6. I bought some strawberries Lily loves. Back then, I thought it would be just another ordinary, slightly awkward, but superficially peaceful Thanksgiving. My finger hovered over the screen for a long time. Finally, I typed a single line. Mark, meet me at the Cook County Courthouse tomorrow at 9 a.m. If you're not there, I will be filing for divorce. The petition will include the recording of your sister hitting Lily and the security footage of your family throwing me out tonight. Your choice. I hit send without hesitation. A few minutes later, my phone vibrated. It was a long reply from Mark. Chloe, Megan was wrong tonight. I will have her apologize to you. But you hit her too, so can't we just call it even? It's the holidays. Do you really have to take it this far? Lily is so young. Can't you be less selfish and think about her for a second? We've been together for 7 years. You can't just throw that all away. Just calm down. Let's talk tomorrow, okay? I looked at the message and suddenly laughed. See, this was Mark. Always equivocating. Always blaming both sides. Always calm down. Never addressing the fact that his sister hit a 5-year-old child. Always accusing me of being selfish and impulsive and not thinking of our daughter. I replied, "When my daughter was being hit, why didn't you tell your sister to—" "Calm down, Mark. This is not a negotiation." 9 a.m. Courthouse. Bring your ID, our marriage certificate, and all relevant documents. If you're not there, we'll see each other in court. He didn't reply for a long time. I turned off my phone and lay down next to Lily. She was sleeping restlessly, her eyelashes still damp with tears. I gently patted her back, humming the lullaby my own mother used to sing to me. Outside, the sky was beginning to lighten. A new day was really coming. At 8 a.m., Lily woke up. The little girl rubbed her eyes and sat up, looking around the unfamiliar hotel room with a bit of confusion. Then she turned, saw me, and relaxed. "Mommy, are we still at the hotel? We'll stay here for a few days," I said, kissing her forehead. "Does it still hurt?" Lily touched her cheek, shaking her head, then nodding. "A little bit." "Mommy, are we not going back there anymore?" "No, we're not going back," I said while helping her get dressed. "Lily, would you rather live just with Mommy or with Daddy, Grandma, and Aunt Megan?" "With Mommy," she said instantly. "Then from now on, it's just us," I said, my voice firm. Zoe brought us breakfast bagels and orange juice. While eating, Lily asked quietly, "Mommy, where are we going today?" "Mommy has to take care of some things." I didn't say the courthouse, just stroked her hair. "You're going to play with Aunt Zoe, okay?" Lily nodded obediently. At 8:30, I left Lily with Zoe and drove to the courthouse. The day after Thanksgiving, the streets were still quiet. The parking lot was nearly empty, save for a few early couples holding hands in the cold wind, their faces glowing with happiness. Today was a popular day for courthouse weddings. I parked the car and sat in the driver's seat, staring at the grand stone entrance. 9:00 a.m. Mark wasn't there. 9:05 a.m. Still not there. I picked up my phone and dialed his number. It rang 7 or 8 times before he finally answered. "Chloe, you're really at the courthouse." His voice was groggy with sleep and a little incredulous. "It's 9 o'clock, I said. I thought you were joking." He paused. "Everyone was just too emotional last night. Can you please not do this? Let's talk first." "Mark," I cut him off. "I'm telling you one last time. Either you come here now and we sign a separation agreement, property, custody, everything can be negotiated amicably. Or I go straight to my lawyer's office and file a contested divorce. The recording of your sister hitting Lily and the security footage of your family kicking me out will be Exhibit A. You choose." There was a long silence on the other end. Then I heard him take a deep breath. "Fine. You want to do this. Fine. I'm on my way." After he hung up, I leaned back in my seat and looked out the window. The sky was overcast, looking like it might snow. At 9:40, Mark's car finally pulled up. He came alone. No parents, no Megan. Good. At least he understood this was between the two of us. He got out of the car and walked towards me, his face pale, his eyes bloodshot. He probably hadn't slept all night. "Chloe, can we please just talk about this?" Inside, I opened my car door, giving him no opportunity to continue. The courthouse lobby was warm. The marriage license office and the divorce filings were on the same floor, separated by a wide hall. On one side, smiling couples. On the other, stone-faced pairs. We took a number and waited. There were 2 couples ahead of us. Mark and I sat side by side, an empty seat between us. Neither of us spoke. The air was thick with unspoken words. Finally, it was our turn. The clerk, a woman in her 40s, looked up at us. "Are you sure? We're sure," I said. Mark said nothing. "Fill these out," she said, pushing some forms toward us. "If it's an uncontested separation, all assets, debts, and child custody arrangements must be clearly stated." I took out the draft of the separation agreement Mr. Evans had prepared for me last night and handed a copy to Mark. "Here's the agreement. Read it. The condo belongs to your parents. I don't want it. The $50,000 renovation cost must be returned to me. Marital assets, including savings, the car, and home furnishings, will be divided based on our actual financial contributions. I will have sole physical custody of Lily. You will pay $1,500 a month in child support until she's 18. Visitation will be determined according to state law with one condition: your sister Megan is not permitted within 100 yards of Lily. Mark took the document, his face growing paler as he read. Chloe. He looked up at me, his eyes wide as if seeing a stranger. When did you prepare all this? Last night, I said coolly. While your sister was hitting Lily. While you were telling me to calm down. While your family was telling me to get out. This is outrageous. He slapped the agreement down on the counter. I can give you back the renovation money, but the savings should be split 50/50. The car was a gift from my parents, and why can't my mother see Lily? She's her grandmother. The car was purchased after we were married, making it marital property. I have the bill of sale and payment records, you can check them. My voice was low but clear. As for your mother, Mark, search your conscience. Has your mother ever truly loved Lily as her granddaughter? When Lily was born a girl, she was disappointed. When Lily was slow to eat, she said she had no manners. When Lily was hit by Megan, she said she deserved it. A grandmother like that is better off not seeing her. You. Mark was shaking with anger. The clerk tapped the counter. If you two are going to argue, please do it outside. If you can sign the agreement, sign it. If not, you can take it to a judge. Mark stared at me and I stared back. 7 years of marriage, thousands of days and nights, all turning to ash in the space between our gazes. Chloe, his voice was hoarse. 7 years. Can you really be this heartless? Mark, I met his gaze. When my daughter was being hit, if you had said just one word, Megan, apologize, even if you were just faking it, I wouldn't be sitting here today. He deflated like a punctured balloon, his shoulders slumping. After a long moment, he finally picked up the pen and signed the agreement. His hand was trembling, but he signed with such force that the final stroke almost tore the paper. I signed my name as well. The clerk took the documents, stamped them, and entered the information into the system. The thud of the stamp was quiet, but in my ears it sounded like a building collapsing. 2 dark red folders were handed to us. They looked a lot like a marriage license, but the color was deeper, like dried blood. All right. As of today, your marriage is legally separated, the clerk said in a monotone. There is a 30-day waiting period. If neither party retracts the filing after 30 days, the divorce will be final. During this period, asset division and child custody will be governed by this agreement. It is binding. 30 days. I picked up the document. Inside was our photo taken 7 years ago. I was smiling so wide my eyes were crescents. He had his arm around my shoulder, looking proud and full of life. Let's go, I said. Stepping out of the courthouse, a cold wind made me shiver. Mark followed me out. Chloe, he called out as I reached the steps. I turned. He looked at me, his expression a mix of emotions. Lily, can I see her? You can, I said. As per the agreement, you can have her every Saturday for the day. But it must be in a public place and your parents and your sister are not to be present. Those are my parents, Mark finally exploded. Chloe, do you have to be so cruel? Our divorce is our business. Lily is their granddaughter. You can't just sever a blood relationship. Blood can't be severed, but violence can be. I looked at him and said word by word, Mark, listen carefully. The day Megan hit Lily, your parents were right there. Your mother said she deserved it, and your father was silent. In that moment, they lost the privilege of seeing Lily. You! Mark was speechless with rage. I didn't engage further, turning and walking towards the parking lot. Chloe, he yelled after me. You'll regret this, I didn't look back. In the car, my hands were still shaking on the steering wheel. I took a deep breath, then another, and started the engine pulling away from the courthouse. In the rearview mirror, Mark was still standing there, his figure shrinking until he was just a black dot disappearing at the street corner. I didn't cry. I just felt tired, as if I had fought a long, grueling war that was finally over. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Zoe. How'd it go? I replied, separated. 30-day waiting period. Zoe's reply was instant badass. We're celebrating tonight. Girls' night. I managed a small smile. No celebration yet. Help me find an apartment. 2-bedroom close to Lily's preschool. Nice neighborhood. Rent isn't an issue. You got it. Leave it to me. I put my phone down and looked ahead. The trees lining the street still had remnants of holiday decorations, a reminder that the season had just passed. A new year was truly beginning. But this time, it was just me and Lily. The car turned a corner and the sun suddenly broke through the clouds, glaring off my windshield. I squinted and then slowly I let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding for 7 years. The day after signing the separation papers, I started looking for an apartment. Zoe was incredibly efficient, sending me 5 listings by that afternoon. All were 2-bedroom within a 2-mile radius of Lily's preschool, fully furnished and move-in ready. "The third one is great," Zoe said over the phone. "Nice building, has a playground. Rent is $3,500 a month. I know the landlord. She's a reasonable person. If you want to see it, we can lock it down today." "That's the one," I said without hesitation. "Can we see it now? Let me call her. Meet you at the building in half an hour." After hanging up, I looked at Lily, who was sitting on the hotel room floor doing a puzzle. She had been quiet, not crying or making a fuss since yesterday, but she was extra clingy, following me everywhere like a frightened kitten. "Lily," I knelt down, stroking her hair. "Mommy is going to take you to see our new home, okay?" Lily looked up, her eyes lighting up. "A new home, just the 2 of us. Yes, with your own room. You can have Elsa wallpaper just like you wanted." "Really?" Lily dropped her puzzle and threw her arms around me. "What about Daddy and Grandma? Daddy will come visit you, but he won't live with us," I explained in the simplest terms I could. "It's like your friend Mia from school. Her mommy and daddy are divorced. Sometimes she stays at her mommy's house, and sometimes at her daddy's." Lily nodded, seeming to understand. Then she asked, "What about Aunt Megan?" My heart clenched, but my tone remained calm. "Aunt Megan won't be coming." Lily leaned her head on my shoulder and whispered, "I don't like Aunt Megan. She hit me." "No one will ever hit you again," I promised, holding her tight. Half an hour later, we arrived at the apartment building. Zoe was already there, standing next to a well-dressed woman in her 40s with a warm smile. "Chloe, this is Angie, the owner," Zoe introduced us. "Hi, Angie." "Hi, Chloe," Angie said, her eyes falling on Lily behind me, her smile softening. "And this must be your daughter. She's beautiful. Come on, let me show you the place." The apartment was on the 12th floor with great light and a view. The master bedroom had a balcony and the second bedroom was perfect for Lily. The living room was spacious, the kitchen was modern, and the bathroom was clean. Everything was new. "I renovated it last year for my son, but he ended up taking a job overseas," Angie explained. "Seeing you with a child, I'll stick to the $3,500 and I'll cover the building fees." "Thank you, Angie." I didn't waste time. I signed the lease and transferred the deposit on the spot. Angie handed me the keys. "You seem like a decisive person, Chloe. If you need anything, just let me know. And feel free to hang things on the walls, just patch them up before you leave." After Angie left, Zoe slung an arm around my shoulder. "Well, your girl's reliable, right? Very reliable." I looked around the empty but bright living room, and the weight that had been on my chest for 7 years seemed to lighten a little. "So what now?" Zoe asked. With Mark, my phone rang. It was him. I answered, saying nothing. Chloe, Mark's voice sounded exhausted. "Can we talk, just the 2 of us? Without my parents, without Megan? Talk about what?" "The separation agreement. Can it be changed?" He hesitated. "The savings, I'll split them 50 over 50. But the car, my parents paid the down payment." "No," I said. "The car is marital property. I have a legal right to half its value. If you want the car, you can buy out my half at its current market value. If you don't, the car is mine and I'll pay you for your half." There was a long silence. Chloe, Mark's voice was strained. "Do you have to count every single penny? You're the one who started counting," I said. "Before yesterday, I never counted with you. Did I ever bring up the $50,000 for the renovation? Did I ever mention that I paid for 70% of our household expenses? Did I ever bring up the fact that I was the one running around and paying out of pocket when your parents were sick? Does it matter now?" "No, it doesn't." I laughed. "So, since we're splitting up, let's make it a clean split. I'm not taking advantage of you, Mark, and you're not going to take advantage of me." Mark hung up. Zoe gave me a thumbs up. "Nice." I didn't say anything, just walked to the window and looked down at the children playing in the building's garden. Lily came and stood by my leg, looking out too. "Mommy, they have a slide," she whispered. "We'll go play on it tomorrow, okay?" My phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother-in-law, Carol. I stared at the caller ID for 3 seconds, then declined the call. Ah, the sound of silence. The next few days were a whirlwind of moving. The new apartment needed a lot: beds, a sofa, a dining table, furniture for Lily's room. I made a list and started buying and assembling. Lily was thrilled. She had her own room with Elsa wallpaper blue with snowflakes. She rolled around on her new bed hugging a new doll. "Mommy, is this my castle? It's Princess Lily's castle." She giggled, her eyes crinkling. I smiled too, but there was a knot of anxiety in my stomach. The Petersons wouldn't give up this easily, especially not on custody. And not on that $50,000. Sure enough, on the 5th day, my lawyer Mr. Evans called. "Miss, Collins Mark Peterson has retained counsel. They're contesting a few points in the separation agreement." His voice was calm. "First, regarding the $50,000 renovation cost, they're claiming it was a voluntary contribution to the family, a gift, and should not be returned. Second, on custody, they're arguing that he, as the father, has equal rights, and that his family provides a more stable environment for the child. Third, they're contesting the restriction on visitation, claiming it unreasonably infringes on the grandparents' rights." I stood on the balcony of my new home holding the phone. "Mr. Evans, what's your advice? On the first point, we have clear transfer records with a specific memo. This was not an unconditional gift. We have a strong case. On the second, you have a stable income, have always been the primary caregiver, and we have evidence of violence in their home. We have the advantage. On the third, restricting visitation is for the protection of a minor supported by your recording. The court will take that seriously." He paused. "But the fact that they've hired a lawyer means they're not going to make this easy. Miss Collins, you should be prepared for a fight." "I understand," I said. "Mr. Evans, prepare for our strongest case. I will not accept mediation." "Understood." After hanging up, I went back inside. Lily was on the floor building with blocks, humming a song from preschool. "Mommy, tomorrow is Saturday," she said suddenly, looking up. I froze for a second, then remembered. The agreement stated that Mark could see Lily every Saturday. What must come will come. I knelt down and looked into her eyes. "Lily, tomorrow Daddy is coming to take you out to play okay." Lily's hands stopped moving. "Where are we going?" she asked quietly. "I don't know, but Daddy will take you somewhere fun with yummy food." "Are you coming with us?" "Mommy isn't." I stroked her hair. "But Daddy will bring you back before dark. And if you ever feel uncomfortable, you can call Mommy anytime and I'll come get you immediately." "Okay," Lily nodded and leaned into my arms. "Mommy, I don't want to leave you." "I don't want to leave you either," I hugged her tight. "But Daddy wants to see you too. He is your daddy and he loves you." The words felt hollow even as I said them. Mark might not be a good husband, but he had never hit Lily. I didn't want to plant seeds of hatred in her heart. The next morning at 9 a.m., the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. It was Mark alone. He was holding a bag that looked like it contained a toy box. I opened the door. Mark stood there looking awkward. His eyes darted past me into the apartment, taking in the new furniture, the bright living room. Lily was sitting on the floor in a new dress. "Come in," I said, stepping aside. Mark walked in hesitantly, looking around with a complicated expression. "Nice place," he said. "Lily," he knelt down, forcing a smile. "Daddy's here to take you to the aquarium, how about that?" Lily looked at me. I nodded. She stood up and said softly, "Okay." Mark handed her the bag. "Look, I got you Elsa's castle." Lily took the bag, but didn't open it, just hugged it to her chest. "Let's go," Mark said, reaching for her hand. Lily flinched instinctively before letting him take it. I saw a flash of hurt on Mark's face, but he didn't say anything, just led her out the door. "Have her back by 6, I said from the doorway. "I know." The elevator doors closed. I stood there listening to the sound of it descending, feeling like a part of me was missing. I was on edge all day. My phone was always in my hand, the screen on. I tidied the house, did laundry, mopped the floors, but my mind was elsewhere. At 3 p.m., the phone finally rang. It was from Lily's smartwatch. Mommy Lily's voice was small, the background noisy. "What's wrong, sweetie? I want to come home," she said, her voice on the verge of tears. "Where are you? Where's Daddy?" "At the aquarium." "Daddy went to the bathroom," Lily whispered. "Grandma and Aunt Megan are here. I don't want to play with them." My blood ran cold. "Lily, where are you exactly?" "At the bench outside the whale exhibit." "Okay, you wait right there for Mommy." "Don't go anywhere. I'm coming right now." I grabbed my car keys and sprinted out the door. When I ran into the aquarium's main hall, I saw her from a distance. Lily was sitting on a bench, her head down. My mother-in-law, Carol, and Megan were sitting on either side of her. Megan was trying to force an ice cream into Lily's hand, but Lily was pushing it away. "Lily!" I called out. Lily's head shot up. Her eyes lit up when she saw me, and she jumped off the bench and ran into my arms. Mommy, I picked her up and turned to leave. Chloe Megan's shrill voice rang out behind me. What are you doing? We were having a nice time with Lily. Why are you here to ruin it? I stopped and turned to face them. Mark came jogging over from the direction of the restrooms. When he saw me, his face changed. Chloe, why are you here? What does the agreement say? I stared at him, my voice flat. During visitation, your parents and your sister are not to be present. I didn't know they were coming. Mark stammered. Mom, Megan, what are you doing here? What am I doing? I can't come see my own granddaughter. Carol stood up defiant. Mark, you take the child out to play and don't even tell us. If Megan's friend hadn't seen you here, we would have been kept in the dark. Exactly, Megan chimed in. Chloe, oh, sorry, ex-sister-in-law, you're being a little controlling, don't you think? We can't even see our own family. You can see her, I said, holding Lily tight, my voice cold. When the court issues a final custody order, you can have whatever visitation rights the judge grants. But right now, during this separation period, you will abide by the agreement. To hell with your agreement, Carol lunged forward, trying to grab Lily. Lily, come to Grandma! Grandma will make you dumplings! Lily recoiled in fear. I stepped back, avoiding her grasp. Carol, I said her name for the first time without a title. Please have some self-respect. Carol froze, probably shocked I would dare address her so directly. Megan seized the opportunity to pull out her phone and start recording me. Everyone look. Look at how cruel this woman is. After a divorce, she won't even let a grandmother see her granddaughter. Is there any justice in the world? Keep filming, I said, taking a step towards her, staring directly into her. Phone's lens. That's great. I'm recording too. Let's let the internet decide which is worse, an aunt who slaps her 5-year-old niece or a mother who tries to protect her. Megan's face went pale and she lowered her phone. Chloe, don't take it too far, Mark finally found his voice. My mom just wanted to see her granddaughter. Is that so wrong? Why do you have to make such an ugly scene? You're the ones making it ugly, I said, looking at the three of them, a family united. I suddenly found it laughable. Mark, was I not clear enough at the courthouse? The moment your family chose violence over love, the family bond was broken. Now you're here putting on a play about a doting grandmother. Don't you find it disgusting? Mark was seething. I ignored them, turned, and walked away with Lily. Chloe, put the child down, Carol yelled from behind. If you follow me, I'm calling the police, I said without looking back. For harassment, for violating a legal agreement. Try me. Finally, there was silence behind me. I walked quickly out of the aquarium, got in my car, and locked the doors. Lily was sobbing quietly in my arms. It's okay, Mommy's here, I patted her back gently. From now on, when Daddy takes you out, if Grandma or Aunt Megan show up, you call Mommy right away and I will come get you. Okay, Lily nodded, her tears soaking my shirt. I started the car and pulled into traffic. In the rearview mirror, the three Petersons stood at the entrance to the aquarium like three rigid statues. My phone buzzed. A text from Mark. Chloe today was an accident. I apologize on behalf of my mom and Megan. But you can't stop a child from seeing her grandmother. It's not right. I replied, right, where was what's right when your sister hit my daughter Mark during this 30-day waiting period? If you violate the agreement again, I will file for a restraining order. Then you won't even get to see Lily once a week. I mean it. After sending the text, I shut off my phone. I stroked Lily's hair. Sweetie, what do you want for dinner tonight? Mommy will make you pasta. Okay. The car merged into the evening traffic. The city lights began to twinkle on like scattered stars. And in my arms, I held my entire galaxy. The incident at the aquarium was the last straw. On the way home, Lily fell asleep in my arms, tear tracks still visible on her cheeks. As I drove, my mind raced. The Petersons wouldn't back down. Carol was the type of woman who had been in control her whole life. A daughter-in-law who dared to fight back and deny her access to her granddaughter was in her eyes a cardinal sin. Megan was a professional pot stirrer, miserable in her own life and determined to sow chaos in others. And Mark, he might feel some guilt, but when forced to choose between his family and what was right, he would always choose family. The 30-day waiting period was only 5 days in, and they were already losing their patience. Back home, I put Lily to bed and went to my study. I opened my laptop. Mr. Evans, are you free for a call? I sent a message. 5 minutes later, his call came through. Miss Collins, I understand the situation. Mr. Evans's voice was steady. From what you've described, the other party has materially breached the visitation agreement. While the separation agreement itself isn't a court order, it serves as powerful evidence that their home environment is detrimental to the child's well-being. I want to file for a restraining order, I said, to prohibit Megan from coming near Lily and to prevent Carol from contacting her without my express consent. We can file, Mr. Evans said, but we'll need evidence. Do you have security footage from the aquarium today? The aquarium is covered in cameras. Plus, Megan was filming me and I was filming her. I have the video backed up. Good. I'll also need the original audio recording from Thanksgiving and a complete account of that evening's events. If we can get security footage from the condo building showing you being forced to leave, even better. The building management has it, but they might require a lawyer to request it. I'll handle it, Mr. Evans paused. Ms. Collins, filing for a restraining order will require a hearing. The judge may want to speak with the child. Lily is 5, she can express herself. Her testimony will be crucial. Also be prepared. This process can be lengthy, and they will fight back hard. I understand, I said, looking out at the night sky. Mr. Evans, all I want is for Lily to be safe. I will do my best. After the call, I sat in the dark for a long time. The new walls of my home were still bare, no photos, no decorations. It felt as empty as my heart. My phone screen lit up. A message from Zoe girl. I heard about the aquarium. The Petersons have no shame. If you need anything, say the word. I know some private investigators who are top-notch. I replied, not yet. But could you help me find a reliable nanny? For when I'm at work. Consider it done. I put the phone down and walked to Lily's room. The door was ajar. She was sleeping restlessly, her little brow furrowed. I pushed the door open and sat by her bed, gently patting her. Mommy's here, I whispered. Lily turned over her small hand, grabbing my finger, and her brow slowly relaxed. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning I took Lily to her preschool. Before leaving, I briefly explained the situation to her teacher and asked her to call me immediately if any strangers tried to pick Lily up. The teacher was very understanding. From the preschool, I went straight to Mr. Evans's office, signed the retainer, and submitted my evidence. Mr. Evans was efficient. That afternoon, a formal letter from his office was sent to Mark, reiterating the terms of the visitation agreement and warning that any further violations would result in an immediate petition for a restraining order. Mark called me as soon as he received it. Chloe, do you have to be like this? He sounded exhausted and angry. Sending a lawyer's letter. Are you trying to destroy everything? You were the one who broke the agreement first, I said calmly. Mark, I gave you a chance. 1 day a week, just you and your daughter. But you couldn't control your mother and sister. Since you can't, maybe the law can. They were just worried about the child. Worried, I scoffed. Mark, search your conscience. Was your mother ever worried about Lily? When Lily had a 102-degree fever, I was the one who rushed her to the ER. For every school event, I was the one who took time off work. When Lily was a picky eater, your mother called her spoiled. When she started piano lessons, your mother said it was a waste of money. Is that what you call worried? You only remember the bad things. Yes, I do. I took a deep breath. I remember every instance of neglect, condescension, and criticism your family directed at Lily. And I remember on Thanksgiving, when your sister hit her, your mother said she deserved it. Mark, I don't expect you to understand. But I do expect you to respect my boundaries, and Lily's. Mark was silent for a long time. So long I thought he'd hung up. One last time, he finally said, Chloe, I promise this is the last time. From now on, visitation will be just me and Lily. I won't let them show up again. Your promises are worthless, I said. The letter has been sent. We proceed according to the agreement. If you violate it again, we'll see each other in court. I hung up. A few days later on Saturday, Mark showed up alone as promised. He stood at the door, didn't come in, just knelt down and forced a smile for Lily. Lily want to go to the science museum. Lily looked at me. I nodded. She walked over and quietly said, Okay. Mark took her hand. As he turned to leave, he glanced at me. His expression was a mix of guilt, resentment, anger, and something else I couldn't decipher. I said nothing and closed the door. The day was quiet. At 5:50 p.m., the doorbell rang. It was Mark returning with Lily. She was holding a balloon and seemed to have had an okay time. Back before 6, Mark said. I took Lily's backpack. Lily, say bye to Daddy. Bye, Daddy. Mark stood at the door hesitating, but finally just nodded and left. As the elevator doors closed, I breathed a sigh of relief. At least this Saturday had passed peacefully. But I knew it wasn't over. Sure enough, on Monday afternoon, I got a call from the preschool director. Lily's mom, a woman claiming to be Lily's grandmother, came to pick her up just now. We didn't release her, of course, but she caused a scene at the gate, demanding to see the child. We had to call security. My blood ran cold. "Where is Lily? She's in the classroom, she's fine. We didn't let her go outside. I'm on my way." I grabbed my keys and ran out the door, my palms sweating the whole way. When I got to the preschool, the teacher was comforting Lily, whose eyes were red. She ran to me the moment she saw me. "Mommy, Grandma was yelling my name at the gate. I was scared." "It's okay, Mommy's here." I held her tight and asked the director, "Where is she now?" Security escorted her off the property, but she said she'd be back tomorrow. The director looked worried. "Lily's mom, this can't continue. It's disruptive for the other children." "I understand. I'm so sorry for the trouble." I took Lily home. On the way, I called Mr. Evans. "Mr. Evans, they went to her school." I see his voice was cold. "I'm preparing the filing for the restraining order immediately." I took Lily out of school and hired the nanny Zoe recommended. Her name was Mrs. Davis, a kind woman in her 50s with years of experience. I explained the situation and she patted her chest. "Don't you worry, Miss Collins. On my watch, no one is getting near this child." For the next few days, we barely left the apartment. I worked remotely, ordered groceries online. The curtains stayed drawn. It felt like we were under siege. On the third day, the court summons arrived. The hearing for the restraining order was set for next Wednesday. I took a picture and sent it to Mark. "See you in court." This time, Mark didn't reply. The night before the hearing, I got a call from Carol from a new number. "Chloe, are you really going to sue us?" Her voice was shrill, and I could picture her twisted face. "You forced my hand. Have you no conscience? Lily is our granddaughter. It's my God-given right to see her God-given right," I laughed. "Carol, legally, I am Lily's guardian. If I say you can't see her, you can't. If you keep harassing us, I will call the police. You wouldn't dare. Watch me." I hung up and blocked the number. The world was quiet again. On the day of the hearing, I wore a black pantsuit, my hair in a low ponytail. I put on minimal makeup. The woman in the mirror had cold eyes and a tense jaw. She was going to war. "Mommy, where are you going?" Lily stood at the bedroom door, hugging her doll. "Mommy has to run an errand. I'll be back soon." I knelt down and kissed her cheek. "You be good with Mrs. Davis, okay?" Lily nodded. "Mommy," she whispered, "you have to win." My eyes stung. I hugged her. "I will. Mommy will definitely win." At the courthouse, I saw the whole Peterson clan, Mark, Carol, Megan, and a man in a suit who must be their lawyer. Mark avoided my eyes. Carol glared at me. Megan had a smirk on her face as if victory was already hers. I said nothing and walked straight into the courtroom. The judge was a woman in her 40s with a serious expression. The lawyers made their statements, presented evidence. Mr. Evans submitted the Thanksgiving recording security footage from the aquarium, Megan's own video of me, the preschool director's testimony, and the condo security footage of me being forced out. Their lawyer talked about the sanctity of family, the unbreakable bond between grandparents and grandchildren, and Carol's deep love and concern for Lily. After hearing both sides, the judge asked, "What is the child's opinion, Your Honor?" "I request that the child be allowed to testify, Mr. Evans said. The other lawyer immediately objected. "The child is only 5 years old. She is not a competent witness. Making her testify will cause her psychological trauma." "Objection overruled," the judge said, then looked at me. "Miss Collins, as the child's mother, do you consent to her testifying?" "I do." I stood up. "Your Honor, my daughter may be young, but she is very clear about who is kind to her and who has hurt her. I believe her wishes should be respected." The judge nodded. "Bailiff, bring in the child." A bailiff went to get Lily. I sat in the plaintiff's chair, my hands clenched tightly under the table. 10 minutes later, Lily walked into the courtroom holding Mrs. Davis's hand. She was wearing the blue dress I'd bought for her, her little face tense. She looked scared, but when she saw me, her eyes brightened. "Don't be afraid, sweetie," the judge's voice softened. "Can you tell me your name, Lily Peterson? And how old are you? 5. Lily, are your grandma and your aunt nice to you?" Lily looked down, twisting the hem of her dress. "Aunt Megan hit me," she whispered. "And Grandma said she was right." The courtroom was silent. The opposing lawyer's face fell. Carol shot up from her seat but was motioned to sit down by the bailiff. Lily, the judge continued, do you want to see your grandma and your aunt? Lily looked up at me, then at the judge. Then she shook her head slowly but clearly. No, she said. I'm scared. In that moment, I saw Mark close his eyes. Carol slumped in her chair. Megan's face was ashen. Your Honor, I stood up, my voice shaking slightly. I am not filing for this order to deprive a child of her family. I am doing it to protect her from harm. When a 5-year-old child has to say, I'm scared in a courtroom, does that not prove my point? The judge was silent for a few seconds, then brought down her gavel. Petition for the restraining order is granted. Effective immediately, Megan Peterson is prohibited from coming within 100 yards of the minor Lily Peterson. Carol Peterson's visitation with her granddaughter must be with the written consent of the guardian Chloe Collins and must be supervised by Miss Collins or a designated third party. Any violation will be dealt with according to the law. Then the judge looked at Mark. Mr. Peterson, as the father, you failed to protect your wife and child during a family conflict. You failed to abide by a signed agreement during visitation leading to this escalation. This court reminds you that a father's duty is not just financial support but ensuring a child's physical and emotional well-being. I suggest you reflect on that. Mark stared at the floor, saying nothing. The judge banged her gavel again. Court is adjourned. I rushed over and swept Lily into my arms. She buried her face in my neck. Mommy, I said it. You were so brave, sweetie. I kissed her hair. As we left the courtroom, the Petersons were standing in the hallway. Carol started to come towards us, but Megan held her back. Mark looked at me, his mouth opening and closing, but no words came out. I walked right past them with Lily in my arms, never looking back. The sun was bright, warm on my skin. Mommy, did we win? We won. So Grandma and Aunt Megan won't come find me anymore. No, they won't. What about Daddy? Daddy will still come visit you. But only Daddy. Lily nodded, then pointed to an ice cream shop across the street. Mommy, can I have some ice cream? Of course. Mommy will buy you some. I held her hand and we crossed the street. The bell on the door chimed as we entered a wave of cool, sweet air washing over us. The server smiled. What can I get for you, little one? Lily stood on her tiptoes, her eyes wide as she looked at all the colorful tubs of ice cream. Strawberry, please. Strawberry it is. I paid and handed the cone to Lily. She took a lick, a huge smile spreading across her face. In that moment, I felt that all the battles, all the struggles, had been worth it. At least now my daughter could safely stand in the sunshine and eat a strawberry ice cream cone without being afraid that a hand was about to strike. After the restraining order, the Peterson family finally went quiet, at least on the surface. Lily went back to preschool. I switched her to a private one with much tighter security. Mrs. Davis handled pickups and drop-offs, and I could track her location on my phone, which gave me peace of mind. I dove back into work. As a marketing director at a tech firm, I had taken a lot of personal days because of the family drama, and my boss had started to notice. Now that the chaos had subsided, I could focus on my career. The weekly Saturday visitations with Mark became a fixed routine. He was much more subdued now, always coming and going alone, respecting the rules. He no longer tried to force jokes or play with Lily. He'd just take her to the park, the library, or for a quiet meal. Lily's attitude towards him was polite but distant, like he was an acquaintance she had to see occasionally. One evening, Lily came home and told me quietly, Mommy, today Daddy asked if I hated him. What did you say? I said. I don't hate him, she said, looking down and fiddling with an eraser. But I don't like him. I didn't say anything, just stroked her hair. Hate was too heavy a burden for a child. Not liking him was enough. Life seemed to have found a new calm rhythm. Until it came to the $50,000. The separation agreement clearly stated that Mark had to return the renovation money within 1 month of the divorce being finalized. The 30-day waiting period ended, the divorce was official, but a month passed and he hadn't paid a dime. He hadn't even mentioned it. I didn't push. Mr. Evans advised me to wait until the official divorce decree was in hand. If he still didn't pay, we would file for enforcement. But the Petersons had other plans. One weekend, I was at the mall buying shoes for Lily when I ran into Megan in the children's section. She was with another woman. She froze when she saw me, then a sarcastic smile spread across her face. She walked over. Well, if it isn't my ex-sister-in-law. Megan's voice was just loud enough for the people nearby to hear. Life after divorce must be treating you well. Shopping in the fancy part of the mall. I guess my brother gave you a nice settlement, huh? I took Lily's hand and turned to leave. Hey, don't go, Megan moved to block my path. Chloe, I heard you sued my brother. Got a restraining order against my mom. You're something else, you know that. The court gives you a piece of paper and you think you're a queen. People were starting to stare. I pushed Lily behind me. The court's piece of paper might not make me a queen, but it's a hell of a lot more powerful than your slap. What's the matter? Did your cheek stop stinging? Megan's face went white. She subconsciously touched her face, though the mark was long gone. The memory was clearly still there. Her friend tugged on her arm. Megan, let's just go. There are people watching. So what? Megan shook her off and pointed at me. Chloe, I'm telling you, you can forget about that 50 grand. That's my parents' condo. You renovating it was what you were supposed to do. Now you want the money back. Dream on. The court will decide what I'm supposed to get, I said calmly. Megan, the restraining order is very clear. Stay away from my daughter. Now, please move. Or what you'll call the cops. Megan's voice was shrill. Go ahead, let's let everyone hear, Judge. The daughter-in-law who divorced her husband and is now trying to extort money from his family. Have you no shame? The whispers started around us. The way people were looking at me changed. I had no interest in creating a scene. I picked up Lily and walked towards the elevator. Megan was still shouting behind me. Chloe, you just wait. You're not getting a single cent of that money. The elevator doors closed, shutting out her toxic voice. Lily buried her head in my shoulder. Mommy, Aunt Megan is so mean. She's sick, sweetie. We stay away from sick people. I patted her back, but the anger inside me was simmering. Megan wouldn't be this brazen if her family wasn't backing her. They had no intention of paying. That night, I sent Mark a text. The $50,000 for the renovation is now past due as per our agreement. If I do not receive payment, I will file for enforcement. You will be responsible for all associated legal fees and penalties. He didn't reply. The next day, he called, his voice sharp. Chloe, are you trying to ruin me? Where am I supposed to get $50,000 right now? That condo belongs to my parents. You chose to renovate it. Asking for the money back now is no different from robbing me. The difference, I said, standing at my office window, watching the traffic below, is that robbery is illegal, and collecting a debt is legal. Mark, I have the bank transfers, the renovation contract, the receipts. This was a documented financial contribution, not a gift. If you want to argue, we can do it in front of a judge. Mark was breathing heavily. Chloe, we were married. Don't you have any feelings left? Feelings, I laughed. When your sister was humiliating me in public, did you talk to me about feelings? When your mother was harassing my child at her school, did you talk to me about feelings? Mark, feelings are a two-way street. Your family showed me none, so don't expect any from me now. Fine, Mark gritted his teeth. You want the 50 grand? Fine, I'll give it to you. But I'm telling you, once this is paid, we are done. And don't expect a penny more than what's legally required for child support. Child support is your legal obligation. You can try not to pay it and see what happens. I hung up. 3 days later, a transfer came through from Mark. Not for $50,000. It was for $20,000. He included a note, the other $30K when my parents sell the condo. I sent a screenshot to Mr. Evans. He's stalling, my lawyer replied quickly. The condo is in his parents' name. He has no right to sell it, and they have no intention of doing so. This is a delaying tactic. Then we file for enforcement. We can. As soon as the final divorce decree is processed. Fine. I put my phone down. Mark thought if he dragged his feet, I'd give up. He was wrong. A week later, my ex-mother-in-law Carol sent me a long text from a new number. Chloe, it's Mark's mother. We know we owe you the money. But we're having a hard time right now. Frank's heart isn't good, he just had a stent put in and it cost a lot. For the sake of the family we once were, can you just let the other $30K go? We'll make it up in child support. Think about Lily. Pushing her father into a corner won't be good for her. I forwarded it to my lawyer and replied, Carol, first, I am no longer your daughter-in-law. Please address me as Miss Collins. Second, I'm sorry to hear about Frank's health, but that is a separate issue. The renovation money is a debt, child support is an obligation. Finally, if you want what's best for Lily, you will honor your legal and financial responsibilities. Otherwise, I have no problem letting the court teach you what's good for her. I sent it and blocked the number. But the Petersons weren't done. A few days later, I got a call from a man who introduced himself as Mark's uncle, some mid-level manager at a city agency. Chloe, he said condescendingly, I hear you and Mark are having some trouble. You know you young people are too impulsive. I heard about this renovation money. We're all family, why take it to court? Mark's parents aren't having an easy time. Just take a step back. Uncle, is it? I said, spinning in my office chair. First, Mark and I are divorced. We are not family. Second, that money is legally mine, it's not a handout. Third, if you really want to mediate, please have Mark transfer the remaining $30,000. Otherwise, there's nothing to discuss. How can you speak like that? His voice rose. I am your elder, I'm trying to talk to you reasonably. My attitude is based on the other party's sincerity, I said. Mark is defaulting on a legal agreement, and you're calling me to apply pressure. That's not a reasonable discussion, that's intimidation. Sir, if you value your job, I suggest you stay out of this. Otherwise, I would have no problem writing a letter to the city's ethics commission about how you're using your official position to interfere in a private financial dispute. He hung up with a slam. In the following days, a parade of Mark's friends, colleagues, and even his old college advisor contacted me. The message was always the same. Chloe, be the bigger person. It's just some money. Let it go. My reply was standard. Respect is earned. They didn't show me any when they assaulted my daughter. I don't owe them any now. I want my money. Every last cent. Finally, Mark himself broke. One Friday night, he showed up at my apartment banging on the door. I saw him through the peephole and didn't open it. Chloe, open the door. We need to talk, he yelled. There's nothing to talk about. The money arrives, the problem is solved. Just open the door, I just want to say a few things. Say them from there. I can hear you. There was silence for a moment, then Mark's voice, low and strained with a mix of anger and pleading. Chloe, I know my family was wrong. We were wrong to you. We were wrong to Lily. I really don't have the other $30,000 right now. My dad's surgery wiped us out. Can you just give me some time? I'll pay you in installments. $2,000 a month. I'll sign a promissory note, whatever you want. I said nothing. Chloe, please, his voice was trembling. I'm begging you. I'm at my wit's end. My mom cries every day because of this. My dad's blood pressure is through the roof. Just, for the sake of what we used to have, give me a break. I leaned against the door and closed my eyes. What we used to have. That was burned to the ground the moment his sister's hand hit my daughter's face. Mark, I said, my voice calm. I don't need the $30,000. My salary is more than enough to support myself and Lily. This is about principle. Your family owes me more than just money. They owe me for 7 years of disrespect of being taken for granted. This $30,000 is the bill coming due. Not 1 penny less. Dead silence from outside. Chloe, Mark's voice turned cold. You're really going to push me to the edge. You pushed me first, I said. Mark, I gave you chances. If you had controlled your family after the aquarium, if you had paid the money on time, maybe we could have maintained a civil relationship. But you didn't. You chose to stall to send people to pressure me to side with your family and force me to back down. I didn't. You did. I cut him off. You always have. In your mind, your parents and your sister will always come before me, before Lily. So don't talk to me about what we used to have and don't play the victim. You have 10 days. If the money is not in my account, I will see you in court. And by then, it won't be just $30,000 you owe me. I heard the thud of a fist hitting the wall outside. Heavy, muffled. Then the sound of footsteps stumbling away. I slid down to the floor, my back against the door, feeling utterly drained. Lily peeked out of her room. Mommy, was that Daddy? I forced a smile. Yes, but he's gone now. Is he not coming in? No, he's not. Lily ran over and curled up in my lap. Mommy, are you sad? No, I said, picking her up and kissing her forehead. Mommy is very happy. Because I know this war is almost won. 10 days later, the $30,000 appeared in my bank account. No note, no text. Just a cold digital notification. I took a screenshot and sent it to Mr. Evans. It's all paid. Received, he replied. The divorce will be finalized in 3 days. We can get the official decree then. Okay, I wrote back. I put my phone down and walked to the window. The sun was shining. In the playground below, children were laughing. Lily ran over and took my hand. Mommy, look, a butterfly. A white butterfly had landed on a flower pot on our balcony, its wings fluttering gently. A butterfly. I stroked Lily's hair. To become a butterfly, a caterpillar has to struggle out of its chrysalis. My struggle was almost over. 3 days later, Mark and I stood in front of the courthouse again. He looked worse than before, dark circles under his eyes unshaven, his suit wrinkled. "Let's go," I said. He followed me in silence. The process was quick. Sign the papers, get the stamp. The official decree was a simple blue document. "As of today, your marriage is officially dissolved," the clerk said mechanically. Mark stared at his copy for a long time, then looked at me. "Chloe." "I have to go," I said, turning to leave. "Wait," he called out. I stopped but didn't turn around. "Lily, can I see her more? Saturday isn't enough." "The agreement stands," I said. "If you want to amend the visitation schedule, you can petition the court through your lawyer, but only if your family ceases all harassment." "They will," he said quickly. "I promise. My mom, she just misses her. Whether she misses her or not isn't the point. The point is what Lily wants." I finally turned to face him. "Mark, for 7 years you made excuses for your family. She has a sharp tongue but a good heart. She means well. But you know what? A sharp tongue is still a weapon. It still cuts it, still makes people bleed." Mark opened his mouth but no words came out. "Take care of yourself," I said and walked out the door. The sunlight was blinding. I raised a hand to shield my eyes and took a deep breath. I was about to call an Uber when my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. "Hello, Miss Collins. This is Kevin from Zillow. The owner of that property in the school district you were looking at has agreed to lower the price. Are you free to discuss?" I had forgotten. Before the divorce, I had started looking at properties to buy in a better school district. Lily was starting first grade next year. "I am," I said. "Where he's at our office right now. He's motivated to sell, but he wants an all-cash offer." All cash. I did a quick mental calculation. The money from our joint savings plus the $50,000 plus my own savings, it was enough for a hefty down payment on a small place, but an all-cash offer was out of the reach. "Send me the address. I'm on my way." Half an hour later, I was sitting across from the owner, a man in his 50s. The property was an older, small condo, but it was in the best school district in the city. The asking price was $500,000. He was willing to go down to $475,000, but only for an all-cash quick close. "Mr. Davison, I can't do all cash," I said. "I can put down 70%, but I'll need to finance the rest." He shook his head. "Sorry, I need the cash now. I wouldn't be selling at this price otherwise. Look, if you can come up with the full amount by tomorrow, I'll take another $10,000 off. $465,000. That's my final offer. $465,000. I had about $300,000 in liquid assets. I was short $165,000. "I'll think about it," I said. "I'll let you know by noon tomorrow." I walked out of the office and immediately called Zoe. "Zoe, I need to borrow some money." "How much?" $165,000. "Holy crap, are you buying a bank, a condo?" "In the school district. It's an all-cash deal." Zoe was silent for a moment. "I can get you 50. Let me ask the girls for the rest. It's a loan. I'll pay you back with interest within a year." "Don't be stupid," Zoe snapped. "I'll make some calls." I stood on the street corner watching the traffic. $300,000 was my entire life's savings. Buying this place would leave me with nothing but debt. But the school district was not something I could compromise on. My phone rang again. It was Mr. Evans. "Miss Collins, there's a development. It seems Mr. Peterson is planning a new move." His voice was serious. "What now? He's hired a new lawyer. A real shark who specializes in contentious divorces. I've heard they're looking into ways to claim a stake in your other property." My blood ran cold. My other property, a small studio apartment I had bought with my own savings before I was ever married. The mortgage had always been paid from my personal account. Because it was far from where we lived, I had rented it out using the income for household expenses. In the divorce, it was considered my separate premarital property, so it wasn't even mentioned. But now Mark was coming after it. "What is he trying to do?" I asked. "They're trying to argue that because some of the mortgage was paid during the marriage, it's now marital property, and he's entitled to a share of its appreciation in value." Can he do that? It's a long shot, but if they want to drag it out in court, it could become a real headache. My hand holding the phone was sweating. That studio was my safety net, the one thing in this city that was completely unequivocally mine. "What do you recommend?" "2 options, Mr. Evans said. 1, you could transfer it to your parents, but that could be seen as an attempt to hide assets. 2, you find definitive proof that the mortgage was paid with your separate funds, not marital income." "I have it," I said. My salary has always been deposited into my own account. Mark's covered our daily expenses. I covered the mortgage, Lily's tuition, and other major purchases. The bank records are clear. That's good, Mr. Evans sounded relieved. But to be safe, I would advise you to liquidate that asset as soon as possible. Sell it. If he's already thinking about it, he won't give up easily. Sell it. An idea sparked in my mind. Mr. Evans, if I sell that studio now, do I need Mark's signature? No, it's your premarital property. You have the sole right to dispose of it. Good. I understand. I hung up and immediately called another real estate agent. Hi, I have a studio apartment I need to sell. 650 square feet. What's the market rate? If I need a quick all-cash sale, how fast can it be done? The agent called back quickly. Miss Collins, that area is desirable. Market rate is around $400,000. For a quick all-cash sale, you'd probably have to take a hit, maybe $380,000. But we could close within a week. $380,000. Plus the $300,000 I already had. That was $680,000. Enough to buy the school district condo for $465,000. Pay back Zoe and the others and still have a cushion. Sell it, I said. Minimum $380,000 all cash, fastest possible close. I'll get right on it. After making the arrangements, I sat down on the steps outside the real estate office. The sun was hot. My phone buzzed. It was Mark. Chloe, there's something I need to discuss with you. His voice was eerily calm. Go on. It's about your studio apartment. I've spoken with a lawyer. The portion of the mortgage paid during our marriage is considered marital property. Therefore, I am legally entitled to a share. So there it was. I laughed. Mark, when your sister was hitting our daughter, did you consult a lawyer about assault and battery? When your mother was harassing her at school, did you consult a lawyer about stalking? Now you want to talk to me about property division. Fine. Sue me. Whatever the judge says I owe you, I'll pay. That's not what I mean, he said, his voice faltering slightly. I just think I'm entitled to a share of the appreciation. Appreciation, I cut him off. Mark, the down payment for that studio came from the first 3 years of my career working until midnight surviving on ramen noodles. The mortgage was paid with my hard-earned salary. For 7 years you lived in your parents' condo and drove a car that my income was paying for. And now that we're divorced, you want a piece of my premarital property. Do you have any shame? Chloe, don't be unreasonable. I'm unreasonable. I stood up and said word by word into the phone, Mark, I'm telling you, right now I have already sold that apartment. The money is going to be used to buy a home for Lily in a good school district. You are not getting a single cent. You sold it. You can't do that. It's marital property. A judge will decide that, I said. If you want to sue, I'll be waiting. But let me remind you, I still have the recording of your sister hitting Lily and the security footage of your mother's harassment. We can settle all our accounts in court. I hung up and blocked his number. I stood under the hot sun and let out a long, slow breath. The road ahead was still hard. Selling a home, buying a home, borrowing money, paying off debts. But this time, I was fighting for myself. For Lily. My phone rang. It was the agent. Miss Collins, I have a buyer. All cash $380,000. We can sign tomorrow and close within the week. Perfect. I looked up at the bright sun. It felt like a beautiful day. The kindergarten graduation ceremony was scheduled for the last Saturday in June. I took the week off to help Lily practice. She was chosen to be one of the MCs. She was so serious, memorizing her lines, practicing her stage presence. Her teacher said she was a natural. Mommy, will you be watching when I'm on stage? She asked me during a break. Of course. Mommy will be in the front row recording everything I said, kissing her forehead. What about Daddy? I paused. Daddy probably can't make it, sweetie. Lily just said oh and didn't ask again. I hadn't told Mark about the ceremony. I didn't think he'd care. The night before the graduation, he called me. Chloe. His voice was hoarse. Is Lily's graduation tomorrow? How did you know? I asked her teacher, he said. Can I come? Just to watch. I won't bother you. I thought for a moment. Fine. But you have to sit in the back. I don't want Lily to see you and get distracted. She's emceeing. Okay. The next morning, I dressed Lily in a beautiful white tulle, dress her hair in a princess bun with sparkling clips. She looked like an angel. The ceremony was in the school auditorium, packed with proud parents. As promised, I sat in the front row. I glanced back and saw Mark in a corner wearing a mask and a baseball cap, his head down. The ceremony began. When it was time for the MCs, Lily walked onto the stage, holding hands with another little boy. The spotlight found her. She stood up straight, and her voice was clear and bright. "Dear teachers, dear parents, and dear friends, good morning, everyone." The applause was thunderous. I held up my phone, my hand shaking, my eyes welling up. My little girl was growing up. The final performance was the entire graduating class singing The Greatest Love of All. The children stood in 3 rows, Lily in the very center of the front row, leading the song. As their pure, innocent voices filled the auditorium singing, "I believe the children are our future," the tears finally fell. 7 years of a difficult marriage, all the pain and frustration seemed to be washed away by their song. Suddenly, a side door to the auditorium burst open. A figure in a bright red dress rushed in, making a beeline for the stage. It was Megan. Lily Peterson, her shrill voice cut through the music. "You get down here right now. Your aunt has something to say to you." The music stopped. The children on stage froze. Lily stood there, her face pale, staring at the approaching, Megan utterly terrified. I shot up from my seat, but someone was faster. Mark bolted from the back of the room and grabbed Megan around the waist. "Megan, what are you doing? Get out of here, let me go." "Mark," Megan struggled, pointing at Lily. "Look at her, so proud of herself on stage. Her mother taught her well. Taught her to disown her own grandmother, Lily. I'm telling you, your last name is Peterson. You are a Peterson. Did you learn to be heartless from your mother?" The room erupted in gasps and whispers. Parents started pulling out their phones. "Security, get her out of here!" the principal shouted from the stage. I pushed through the crowd and stood in front of her. "Megan." My voice was ice. "Have you forgotten the court's restraining order, or do you just think I won't call the police?" "Chloe." Megan's eyes were wild. "You have the nerve to show your face. You've ruined my brother, you've made my mother sick, and now you won't even let us see the child. Are you even human? I won't let you see her." I laughed, took out my phone, and played the recording from Thanksgiving. Megan's own shrill voice filled the silent auditorium. "You ungrateful little brat, I'll teach you some manners your mother clearly hasn't." Then the sharp crack of the slap and Lily's muffled sobs. The entire room was dead silent. Megan's face turned white as a sheet. "The court order prohibits you from coming within 100 yards of my daughter," I said, my voice low and clear. "You have not only violated that order, but you have also caused a public disturbance and verbally assaulted a minor. Security, call the police." The security guard looked at the principal, who nodded grimly. Megan panicked. "Mark, say something. You can't let her call the police." "If I get a record, what will Mom do?" Mark was holding her, his face a mask of agony, but he said nothing. "Mark," Megan shrieked. "Are you my brother or not? You're just going to let her do this to me." Mark finally looked up at me, his voice a hoarse whisper. "Chloe, don't. Please. She's not stable. I'll take her away right now. I promise she'll never bother you again." "If she's not stable, she needs a doctor," I said. "But today she needs the police. Mark, I have given you and your family too many chances. But today at my daughter's graduation, on the first important day of her life, your sister storms in here and terrorizes her in front of everyone. This time, I'm not letting it go." I dialed 911. "Yes, I need to report a violation of a restraining order and a public disturbance at a school event." Megan collapsed to the floor, sobbing. Mark held her, his shoulders shaking. The police arrived quickly. They took statements, reviewed the restraining order, listened to my recording, and put Megan in handcuffs. "Ma'am, you'll have to come with us." Megan was led away wailing. Mark stood there watching her go, then he turned and looked at me. The expression in his eyes was unreadable. It was hate, regret, despair, and nothing all at once. "Chloe," he said softly, "are you satisfied now?" "No, I'm not," I said. "I will never be satisfied. Because my daughter's graduation, a day that should have been filled with joy and pride, was ruined by her own aunt. That stain will be with her forever. And you, her father, once again stood by and did nothing." Mark opened his mouth but closed it again. He turned and walked away, his back stooped as if he had aged 10 years in 10 minutes. I went back into the auditorium. I took Lily from her teacher's arms. She was still crying. "Mommy," she whispered into my neck, "why does Aunt Megan hate me?" "She doesn't hate you, sweetie." I patted her back. "She's sick. Her heart is sick. But that is not your fault. You did nothing wrong." The graduation ended abruptly. I carried Lily out of the school. Zoe called, her voice frantic. "I heard what happened. Are you and Lily okay?" "We're fine," I said. "Zoe, can you do me a favor? Pull some strings. I want Megan to face the maximum penalty for this." Violation of a court order, public disturbance, menacing a minor. I want it on her permanent record. Consider it done, Zoe said. She's about to learn a very hard lesson. I looked down at Lily. She had stopped crying. Mommy, are we going home? Yes, I said. We're going to our new home. The final renovations on the new condo were complete. We moved in the following week. It was a bright, sunny two-bedroom with a room for Lily filled with glowing stars on the ceiling, just as I'd promised. Megan was sentenced to 10 days in county jail. The Petersons went completely silent. Carol never called again. Mark stopped his Saturday visitations, sending a text saying his mother was ill, and he needed to care for her. Lily started first grade at the new school across the street. Life settled into a peaceful routine. In late November, I got a call from Mr. Evans. Miss Collins, Mark Peterson has withdrawn his lawsuit regarding your studio apartment. He paused. Also, I'm sorry to inform you that his mother Carol passed away last week. A sudden heart attack. I stood by my office window looking out at the gray sky. Carol was gone. The woman who had insulted me, who had condoned the abuse of my daughter, who had harassed her at school, was dead. I felt no joy, no sadness. Just a vast emptiness. That night my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. I answered. Chloe. It was Mark's voice so hoarse I barely recognized it. My mom's gone. He was crying. A deep broken sound. Chloe, I was wrong. I was so wrong. I shouldn't have let Megan hit her. I shouldn't have let my mom bully you. I destroyed our family. I listened silently. I regret it, he sobbed. I regret everything. Regret doesn't change anything, Mark, I said, my voice even. We all have to move on. You take care of yourself. I will raise Lily well. I will teach her to be kind, and I will teach her to be strong. There was a long silence. Then he whispered, Chloe. Thank you. For what? For not letting them break you. I hung up the phone and walked to Lily's room. She was sleeping peacefully, hugging her Elsa doll. I kissed her forehead. Good night, my love. I closed the door and leaned against it, letting out a long breath. The 7-year nightmare was over. I had my daughter. I had my career. I had this home, our home. Outside, the city lights burned brightly. And inside my light, our light was burning too. Steady, warm, and safe. And that was more than enough.